This is George Washington. This is George Washington. Hello everyone, Nate Jackson, Criterion Collection Reviewer Guy, with a rather lame intro, but what else is new? Number 152, David Gordon Green's George Washington. Oh boy, this one is, I don't know how to, I mean, this one is pretty deep, pretty dark, very tragic, very pretty, very beautiful. It's a very, very tough one to talk about, though I'll probably end up blathering on about this one for a while. But mostly for the supplements. I mean, there's a lot to, actually, we've got a lot to get through, so let's try and keep this one as short as possible. I liked it. I mean, I liked it. It was really pretty good movie. I mean, it's not long at all, only 90 minutes from 2000. I believe, I think I looked it up, and I think Traffic was the latest released. I think the first one was In the Mood for Love, and then George Washington was shown in like October of 2000, and then Traffic came out December of 2000. So I know I mentioned that earlier. That's just a side note. So anyway, George Washington, and this is the later version of the Criterion Collection. I don't know what special features were on the original version versus this one. There's some that we'll talk about, but anyway. So yeah, this movie, I'm gonna try and summarize the plot as quickly as possible. But yeah, it's just hard because this movie can be interpreted so many different ways. So basically, I'll tell you what I can remember. It's about these 5 kids who live in South Carolina, and during the summer, during I think it's like late June, early July is where this movie's set. At the time the movie's set, there's 5 kids. There's Naisha, I forget there's a girl's name, Naisha, Buddy, Vernon, Sonia, and George. Naisha's probably is the narrator that we hear throughout the movie, and she's probably the least significant to the plot. In the beginning, the first scene we see is Naisha, and I'm gonna call her Naisha, even though that's probably not her name. Naisha and Buddy. Naisha's breaking up with Buddy because he's like really immature, and she's falling for George. And so we see that, and we're introduced to George slowly but surely. And George is, of course, George. His last name isn't Washington, but he is compared throughout the movie to George Washington. And it's no surprise that it's connected to the 4th of July is like at the end of the movie and all that, because they watch fireworks at the end. Let's see. George is, well, Buddy is kind of like the kid who wants to fit in. He's kind of like, he wears glasses and he's really scrawny, and he's kind of picked on a little bit. Obviously, Naisha breaks up with him for George because he's kind of a cooler guy, And what else? I'm trying to save my description of George for last. Vernon is kind of the tough guy. He's kind of the cool, tough guy. He's he's got the slang down and all that. He's like the most ghetto of them all, if you will, if you prefer the term ghetto. Sonia is the white girl, because she is the white girl. It's like they're all black except for her. She doesn't say a lot. She's very much the observer. I think she's probably the youngest of them all. And yeah, when she does talk, she just kind of like goes with the gang, but she's still, and Vernon treats her like one of the boys, and all that. And then there's George. I want to save George for last because he's kind of the star of the film. George is a really kind of a laid back guy. He's very introverted. He knows how to have, he goes with the gang and all that, but it's kind of hard to, because well, the one thing that a lot of people, that's probably the most prominent thing about him is that then that's talked about and plays into the plot and all is that George was born with has this diagnosis where the back of his head, I think there's a name for it, but the back of his head isn't fully developed. And he's like, they're all like in their 11, I think they're all supposed to be like 10 or 11. So the back of his head is like really soft and like it's not developed at all. And so he can't like go in the water because like if somebody hit him in the back of the head, he would basically die because like the skin back there would hit his brain and probably damage him. And so he walks around a lot of the time with a helmet on, with a football helmet too, just to protect him. And like he can't go in the water and swim. And there's a scene where he's at the pool, where everybody's at the pool, and he's watching them, and they're all doing dives off the board. And he's like grading them with his hands and all that, and that was kind of cool. That was kind of a cute scene. And yeah, so anyway, so basically the plot revolves around these kids, and one day Sonia's playing with this poop that she finds on this stick, and she flings it at Vernon, and so they go into this bathroom, the four of them. Like I said, Naisha doesn't really get involved in their hijinks. She's basically just kind of the love interest who just kind of narrates it and just admires George from afar, more or less. But the four of them, George, Buddy, Vernon, and Sonia, go into this bathroom, and he's trying to wash it off, and they mess around. Buddy pulls Vernon's pants down. He hides underneath the stalls and all that. And then George and Buddy get at it, and Buddy pushes George against the wall and hits his head, and the back of his helmet hits. And of course George is upset by this, so they start pushing Buddy around in a circle, and George pushes Buddy so hard toward the sink that his head cracks on the back of his head cracks on the sink. And he falls down, and he pick him up, and he's like, yeah, and he seems to be recovered. But shortly after that, he picks up the stick, I think the stick that Sonia was playing with, and he starts beating on the stall and screaming very primally, like with a primal instinct and all that. And as he does this, the back of his head starts to bleed profusely, and just really oozes all down the back of his shirt and all that. And slowly but surely, his banging slows down, and he drops the stick, and he falls to his death. And yeah, so the three of them are now wondering, like, what are we gonna do? And George realizes that he killed someone, and so they all freak out. But they find a place. They find a place to bury Buddy. The place where they, I don't remember exactly where it is. It's not too clear as to where it is. And so I think George is really like freaking out about this whole situation, and he's trying to, obviously they keep it secret, and we see missing posters for Buddy, and he is eventually found, but I don't know if there's any real resolution for his fate, in the end. Like I don't think they ever catch, the three of them. They're interviewed. They're all interviewed by the police or like the school board or something like that about Buddy, so they're all cleaned up and looking good at one point. But anyway, yeah, there's a scene where one day George is at the pool when he finds this kid drowning, a kid in a neck brace that he met earlier at the pool, and he dives in and saves him, not thinking about the back of his head. He saves the kid, and kid's okay, but shortly after saving him, George begins to, writhe in pain and grab the back of his head. And so he's rushed off to the hospital, and he's his father who doesn't like him, or his uncle. I think it's his uncle who doesn't like him very much. Is like really hard on him, like just calls him a fool and all that, and just gives him a hard time about it. But his the little boy's mother, calls him a hero and thinks he's amazing. And so his mother, he gets his name in the paper, and so from that point on, he slowly becomes like the hero of the city. And he goes around wearing a cape, and the helmet, and he wears I believe it's Buddy's wrestling outfit that Buddy presented to George, that showed George before he accidentally killed him. So he goes about like directing traffic and helping old ladies across the street, and he ends up like going over to where his uncle's working, and he like counts all the electrical hazards, and he makes his younger sister go through like, you know, fire drills and all that, and it's kind of cool. But yeah, no, so he kind of like bounces back and really tries to be like the greatest hero that ever lived, you know, and, you know, maybe to counteract. And I think he really, and that, the way I interpret it is he does it to counteract the fact that he killed one of his friends, you know. What else happens? Sonia and Vernon don't act the same way. In fact, they try to steal a car, and they flip it, and so they escape with, minor damages. And their fate, I don't think their fate's very clear at the end. It shows Vernon looking on at something. Sonia ends up like trying to confess to Buddy's death, but saying that he killed himself and George didn't. And yeah, and then we see George and Naisha just talking, and he just, through narration, you know, she ends up talking about how he's basically a hero, and at the end, and like, you know, and there's some scenes later where he ends up, the final scene is like him dressed up as the president and getting photographed as if he were the president. And yeah, that's basically the film. There's some other details that I won't get into that weren't really integral to the plot, but, you know, that definitely did tell a story. Tell part of the story, so but I'll let you guys get to that anyway. But yeah, I like this one. It was haunting. It's very haunting. I don't think I've seen I don't know if I've seen a movie in the Criterion collection so far that has been as haunting as George Washington. I'm gonna get it. I toyed with the idea, but especially after seeing this bonus features, the special features, the supplements we'll get to in just a second. Because I think the one, I'm gonna give it an A, but I'm giving it an A minus because of the music. I wasn't a fan of the music. Some of the ambience was really nice, but then there was a lot of like weird church things that were going on that were just kind of, yeah, and the last song was kind of like the song outro and all that was really bad, and just there's a lot of really sad music that goes throughout the film. And so that was my only really big complaint about this film, but the rest of it was shot beautifully. It was a really, really interesting story. The acting, you know, I just love the whole, you know, the kids, you know, kind of on themselves, you know, it's kind of like Lord of the Flies, you know, except not really, you know, more modern maybe. Yeah, it was dark, tragic, beautiful, and just a trip and a half. And so yeah, I'm probably gonna get this one. I'm gonna get it because it's a trip. So A minus, David Gordon Green. And this guy, I looked him up. This is the same guy who's been directing comedy movies as of late, like Pineapple Express and Your Majesty, and Eastbound and Down. I didn't know that he directed all these like comedy. The Sitter with Jonah Hill. Like, wow, I didn't know he did more. Like, this was his first film, and it's more of a serious film, and so I don't know, it's a kind of a trip. So this is his only film in the Criterion collection. I doubt that Pineapple Express will ever be in the Criterion collection. And I really hope All the Real Girls will never be, because I can't stand Zooey Deschanel. But yeah, anyway, that's a whole nother story. So yeah, A minus, good, great movie. Check it out, and yeah, it's really, really good. I'm going to get this one because it's haunting. Supplements, plenty of supplements. There are 3 short films in this movie. One called Pleasant Grove, which was done by David Gordon Green back when he was in college. And it's kind of like the demo version of George Washington. It's about a kid who like has the same condition as George, and like there's a lot of kind of the similar scenes, like how George can't have a dog and all that, and the uncle who's actually the father and all that, and the father bangs on things, and yeah, there's just a lot that like this very similar. It's very much the prototype of George Washington. I forget the kid's name, but yeah. There's also a movie called Physical Pinball, which was done by David Gordon Green. It has some of the same characters. It has the Eddie Rouse who plays George's uncle, and the girl who played the Cameron. I forget her name, but the girl who plays Naisha in. Or God, I really hate that I don't remember her character's name. Yeah, but that's an interesting movie. It's about like Cameron plays this girl who's like kind of a tomboy. She beats up guys, and I guess she's a pinball wizard too. And so her dad like takes her out and makes her compete against guys. And so, but at the same time, like she gets her period, and so he has to help her like shop for tampons because her mother died, and she starts to like guys, and so he's trying to figure out how to let go and let her girl become a woman and all that. So it's an interesting little topic. Really weird Sesame Street music throughout, and it's really interestingly shot. Like to look like an old '60s film. I think maybe that was the point. But probably the most interesting film that a lot of people comment about is the third film that's included in here called A Day with the Boys, which wasn't done by David Gordon Green, but it was actually a movie shot in 1969 by a guy named Clu Gulager, who co-starred in who did a lot of different films, but was also in TV like the Tall Man, and he did like westerns and stuff like that. And he did a really weird avant-garde film in 1969 that's just creepy as fuck. I would love to reveal it to you, but it's basically just these boys, the day in the life of these boys, who just play around in like these fields, and they go into town and they meet this businessman, and he plays around with them. And the rest of it, I'm not going to tell you about. You just got to see it. It's on YouTube if you want to see it. It's like 17 minutes. It's going to creep you out though. It's really fucking weird. But it's just yet another reason why I'm going to get this DVD, because it's just that. It's a trip and a half. What else? What other supplements? I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, there's a reunion with the kids a year after the movie was released. Criterion got all the old kids together and did a year later interview with them, I guess for the original DVD release. So that was something that they've had on the original version. And so it's really cool to see them a little bit older, and they're still friends. I guess they still talk and all that. And it kind of make me sad though, because you look them up on IMDb, they don't really. I think only Cameron was the only actress who had any more work. In fact, she actually was on an episode of Eastbound and Down. So it's kind of cool that she still worked with David Gordon Green after all this time. But the other guys, the other kids had little bit parts here and there, but not much. In fact, I think the kid who played Vernon, this was his only film, which is kind of sad. But yeah, no, it's just, there it is, I guess. There's also an interview with David Gordon Green when he was on Charlie Rose back in 2001. So it's cool to see him, sometime after the film was made, and talking with Charlie about the film. There's a trailer, and there's something else. I know there's a deleted. Yeah, there was a deleted scene, an 8.5-minute deleted scene that didn't really do anything. It was like this town meeting. With one of the guys from the film that's one of George's like older friends, who's one of his white friends that I didn't really mention them because they're kind of just like ambiance, as far as the plot of the movie is concerned. So he kind of leads this weird town meeting about his town, and George is there, and yeah, it definitely doesn't really add anything to the plot or anything like that, in my opinion, and so I can see why they deleted it. And of course the trailer is really nice. And yeah, that's all I can say about this one. I was taken aback. I went into it thinking I didn't know what to think. I had a feeling that looking at it, I thought maybe I'd dig this one. And sure enough, I dug it. So, George Washington, get this one. I will. Get the Blu-ray, get the DVD, get it all. Apparently, well, I think it's one of those dual formats, so you have to get the Blu-ray DVD. Which is fine because, I would like to see this thing in just beautiful beautifulness. And you know, I love like Americana films like this too. It's this very like, you know, rural Americana and stuff like that. So trip and a half, A minus, get it. It'll haunt you as it's gonna haunt me. Anyway, so that's it for me. Thursday, General Idi Amin Dada, and then that's it till next week. So you won't see me till probably Thursday, or I don't know. We'll have to find out what the horse's mouth is all about. The horse's mouth is already in transit, and hopefully I will get that. I mean, if I somehow miraculously get it by Thursday, then hell, maybe I'll do it along with General Idi Amin Dada. I don't know. I mean, I've got quite a bit to do that day, so I don't know if I'll have time for more than one review. But you can always try. Yeah, and of course, like I said, the horse's mouth is on its way. Tokyo Olympiad's on its way. Hearts and Minds are on their way. The Royal Tenenbaums I haven't gotten to yet. Oh God, not another Wes Anderson film. No, I've got to do them all. Criterion, lay off the fucking Wes Anderson. Good fucking night, Nelly Furtado. And they still haven't gotten Grand Budapest Hotel, though. But they will. You know they will. You gotta give it time. They're probably preparing it right now as we speak, so fuck. Anyway. So yeah, so that's the plan for now. But General Idi Amin Dada is coming Thursday, unless for some reason the YouTube version gets deleted between then and now. Probably won't. We'll see what happens. And then, like I said, I'll just do the interview with Barbo Schroeder, or whatever his name is, when if I ever get the DVD, or if I find the DVD somewhere, or if I like the movie enough, I'll buy it. No. I'm already getting George Washington, you know. So there you are. And yeah. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Man, morals. Just I don't know. Just be kind to yourselves. Recognize. Don't let the heat of the summer, get your emotions all caught up and just, kill your friend with, brain damage or something like that. Just try to live in peace or something. I don't know. I mean, don't let your youth, to the kids of America, don't let youth get in the way. Don't let anger get in the way of your youth, or blah blah blah. And be a hero. Be a hero. That's the best moral. Be a hero. And until next time, we'll see you for General Idi Amin Dada. Goodbye.